Rakesh Sharma. Rakesh is an executive director with Experior, has an amazing story, so I'm really excited to interview Rakesh today. And just to start off, Rakesh, tell us a little bit about your background and what you've done in the past and what brought you to Experior.
Well, like they say in the game of cricket, this is my second innings. I came to Canada on 16th June 1984 with a pilot light of doing business in this country. But I was thrown into the world of job. And I had to struggle, but I had the business mind, always looking for business. So as I was progressing through my job market, I progressed from being a typist to a COBOL programmer to a network engineer with Bell Canada. And I had all my insurances, my investments, my taxes, everything in place, and I was about to coast. This is about 3 years ago, but I got the golden handshake. I said, thank you very much.
Wow.
Here's your 1 year salary, and out you go.
Wow.
So I had to now think on my feet what to do, and I had to help Neela for that, because I met Neela, and she was an RVP in another financial institution, and when she said RVP, now I knew that that's a pinnacle point in that company, and being a lady, she has achieved that. And I was in another network marketing company where I could never get to a diamond level.
Right.
So I had a lot of respect for her.
Wow.
So one day, she came and she was kind of very upset. And I said, why are you upset? He said, there are two guys who left my company and I was kind of looking up to them, Frank and Mauro.
Wow.
I said, well, then go talk to them. And she did. And then after 3 hours of her meeting, she was very excited. And she called me up. She said, I'm joining this company. And I don't know what came upon me. And I got my credit card out and I said, okay, sign me up. Right? And that was like, having the respect for her and then her being excited. Yeah. I said, okay, sign me up. Not knowing what Experior was all about. Right. So it was a logical decision for me.
Yeah.
So when I came in, for the first 4 or 5 months, I was just coming to the meetings and listening to Frank, listening to these life insurance companies and investment companies. Then came CPP. When CPP, AL, when he was doing the presentation, he said, even if you have any health issues, you can get life insurance and no medical. And he said, diabetes is one of them. Now I'm diabetic. So when I heard that, I said, So I filled up an application, I gave it to him. In 2 days, the application was done.
Wow.
And that is when the logical decision became the emotional decision for me. Because, when you decide to buy a car,
yep,
you start to see all those cars on the road.
That's right.
Right? And here I got my insurance policy done, being a diabetic. I started to see diabetic all around.
Wow.
Indians, they have got diabetes, like as soon as you're 40, you know that you're going to get diabetes.
Wow.
And I started to see that. And that's where my humble beginning happened with Experior.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that was how many years ago then when you kind of had that epiphany that there's something special here, that you can do something out there in this industry?
This was about 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
About July 2016 or so.
Okay. And I remember you sharing a story about your first convention with Experior, the first big gala that we did at Michelangelo's in 2018, it would have been at the start of 2018, January.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about your experience there.
Now, funny you ask, because at that time, what was happening was I was looking at this business from a sales perspective, being a salesman. And I was trying to look at how I can sell. The reason for that was because I was 55 and I had to prove a point to my family because, as I said, I was coasting in my life and all of a sudden this rude awakening happened. So I had to do something fast.
Right.
So all I could do was, maybe I could sell something. And as I started to sell more, I was getting more objections and more no's, no, not now. And it started to deplete my excitement, my enthusiasm. And then as I went to that gala, I started to see people succeeding. I started to see people going across the stage, winning. And there I was sitting, I said, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? If this guy can do it, I can definitely do it. Why am I not doing it, right? And as the day progressed, I started to feel sad. I started to feel less energetic,
Wow.
less enthusiastic, more convinced that I cannot do this. And by the time it was like 10 o'clock and the comedians were on, I literally wanted to get out of there. And as I was leaving, Rayon White comes along and says, you know what? That's your chair. Next year, you will be an executive director.
Wow.
Now, I laughed at it inside. I said, yeah, only if you knew what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah.
But that stuck with me.
Wow.
That stuck with me. And see, a lot of people go, they want to become executive directors. They want to make six-figure income. You know, that's their motivation. My motivation was fear. I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to be like, I couldn't accomplish anything in my life. So I had no option. So I couldn't quit. But I was ready to quit because I thought I cannot do this. I was totally convinced. But somehow I stuck to it. Somehow I said, no, I'm going to give it another shot. Give it another shot. So
that's amazing. And for those watching, the goal of our galas and our conventions is not to convince people to quit. But however, you know what? I think it's so powerful that Rayon said to you at that time in your life that you needed to hear it. So that's just absolutely inspiring. Another reason I think it's so important to push people up, and we have to believe in people sometimes even when they don't believe in themselves. So that's amazing. So we fast forward 1 year to this gala, most recent one, which was January 2019. What happened there? It was a little different, right?
See, what I had to learn was, see what was happening with me was, there was no contrast. All I had to go by was what these people who had come into my life, who sold me insurances, who sold me investments, all they showed was the sales side.
Yeah.
But nobody showed me that it was a building side, the advisory side. And it all happened by accident. I met a guy who liked what other businesses I was doing. He said, you know what, there is a need for the new immigrants who are coming. They need someone to guide them, someone to shelter them, tell them where to go, where to get food and all that. Would you mind if I add you to the group? I said, yeah, sure, add me. So he added me there and I started to talk about.
That's on a WhatsApp?
On WhatsApp. And then there were some people who started to talk about insurance, travel insurance. They started to talk about OHIP. And there was not an accurate information that was being shared. And because I had a busy lifestyle, I was always on the road, I couldn't type as I was driving. So I started to report. I said, no, this is not how it is. I mean, you gotta get 90-day insurance because OHIP will not cover you. And don't get your insurance from the back home because every insurance policy has got $100 deductible.
And OHIP is provincial for Ontario.
Provincial for Ontario, yes.
Medical.
Exactly. And I said, no. You should get an insurance policy from a Canadian company because you're going to get sick here. And these hospitals, these doctors, they need a company who they can deal with so that they can get paid. And I said, you don't even have to buy from me. Go online, get the policy from the company, but get it from a Canadian company. Now, I didn't realize that there were other agents who were trying to sell other companies' products.
Right.
And here, my role was becoming of an advisor. So as I will share my audios, people started to send me messages. Hey, can you give me a quote? I said, sure, I can give you. And I said, look, the only thing you're going to get from me is that you're going to get my services for free, right? My expertise for free. I came 34 years ago. So that kind of stuck with them. I said, oh, so this guy is an oldie. So he must know a lot of stuff. Yeah. So people started to come to me.
Wow.
But what I realized, that I was not a salesman. I was an advisor. So when I saw people coming to me, I started to look at Experior with a different set of eyes.
Yeah.
I said, what is so different about Experior? Why Experior and why not other companies? Then I started to see that other companies, other models, they are producing salespeople. Experior is creating advisors. And I started to look at the compensation. Like, I have to say this, you guys are brilliant, the way you have designed the Experior model. You can come and join us on a part-time basis. With your pen, you can write one policy and make about $850. Same policy you write with other models, you get 350, you get 225. And that started to hit me. I said, oh my goodness. And then I said, the second level, you make about $1,100. I said, if I want to make $100,000, all I have to do is 7 policies a month. Terms only, term insurance. I said, I don't even have to bring people.
Yeah.
I just can make money. So 2 things were happening. I said, if I don't know anybody, I can go out and write policies. These people are coming to Canada and I can sell it to them. It's possible. It's possible that I don't have to pressure myself in bringing new people and make money. And I said, oh my goodness. And then I started to come to these meetings and started to understand when Frank said, my 140 package, bonus package is better than 180 outside. And then he explained. He said, once I promote someone as an executive director, I pick up 28% of his volume. I said, wow. I said, what if he has 2? He surpasses this producer who's just producing with his own pen.
Yep.
Then it starts to set in. You see, I have to train my mind to look at possibilities. You see, when you're looking at your environment, you will exhaust your warm market very quickly. They will judge you, but you will exhaust them. And then the real problem comes, where are you going to find people? Yeah. When I started to do travel insurance, I found there are 20 million people coming to this country every year.
Wow. 12
million are leaving this country every year. Population of Canada is going through the airports every year. And each one of them requires something that we can offer. Wow. I started to see people coming in. And then I was at our BTOs, we show that smart money pie chart. You see, these people who are coming into this country, they are by default put into that 90% bracket because they are in their 30s. They have families, they haven't bought their homes, they haven't bought their cars, they haven't done any investments. And they only have maybe 35 years tops. That means if they start working right from day one and start putting money into CPP, they will not get the full CPP money.
That's correct.
That means they have to work harder, they have to work smarter. And then people came from Middle East. Middle East, there is no tax.
Yeah.
So if you're making 6-figure income in Middle East, you have to make $151,000. And there are no jobs out there who will offer these new people $151,000.
Yeah.
So they have to do something different.
I look for an opportunity.
That is where I saw, oh my God. I still remember 34 years ago when I was looking for a job, there were 2 excuses thrown in my face. You don't have Canadian experience or you're overqualified. And these guys are facing the same thing.
Yeah.
If they get LLQP license, that's a Canadian certification.
That's right.
That's a Canadian license.
Yep.
It's a license to print machine.
Yep.
Print money.
Yep.
And by just getting that, now they're doing 2 things. Now they're making themselves more marketable, and they will not get that excuse that you don't have Canadian experience. You have something to show
That's
for.
A good point. Yeah.
And then this license allows you to be self-employed.
Yep.
Now, when you are self-employed, you start to then have some tax deduction that you can make.
That's right.
But that's a discussion for another day.
Sure.
But the point is, there are 300,000 new immigrants coming to this country. And by default, they are going into that 90% pie chart percentage.
Wow.
We can single-handedly change people's lives.
That's amazing.
And you know what? Having gone through buying insurances and investments in this last 34 years, none of those friends of mine ever asked me to join them in that financial industry, right? Can you imagine if a person like me was never asked? What are their chances?
Yeah.
Right? And that is what I see in Experior, and that is what my vision is, that if I have to talk to everyone, the guy get this license and I will help you, right? I can now change people's lives. You see, I see that, I feel that every day, and I thank God for you and Leah.
Thank you.
You know, when I look at the compensation, when I look at the overrides, what you have given, nobody can match. And even if they try to match, they can never catch you. Right? This is the time, when you said we are going to States, and I was thinking India. Why not India?
That's right.
And in the last gala you said, why not? And I'm saying, why not?
That's right.
Why not we go to India? Why not me?
Yep.
There are 1.2 billion people there. So that's what I see in Experior.
That's awesome. And Rakesh, you being the humble guy that you are, and I appreciate you giving me some praise there. I really do. It means a lot. But we are nothing without leaders like you. We really aren't. You see on our executive director calls every week, Experior does not exist, and we cannot be as competitive as we are without people like you and the passion that you have to go out there and change people's lives. So absolute respect to you and all of our executive directors that are taking that front stance, out there in the trenches and building this thing. I want to say, because you're too humble to say, but 1 year later, as I asked about January 2019, Rakesh actually walked across the stage. I think you sat close to the front of the room as well.
Yes.
Walked across the stage. We called him the man in the red hat because he had this wonderful red hat, and he was dancing and everything. And I remember one of our highlight videos of us dancing. It's just hilarious. But Rakesh came back not as someone who was defeated and deflated like he was in the first convention. And it's amazing how 1 year can change your life. You came back as the #1 insurance producer in all of Experior Canada. So imagine that. You go from you're about to quit, Rayon has a conversation with you, you change your mindset, you come back as the #1 producer in the entire company. So that's absolutely phenomenal. Rakesh, I want you to just share maybe 1 or 2 points briefly with the people that are maybe in the position you were in a little over a year ago. Maybe they're having doubts of whether they can do this or not, or they're struggling, and so on. So what do you have to say to those folks watching this today?
The first thing that comes to my mind is don't quit. Don't quit. If things are not working, you may have to change a little, maybe what you are doing. And being an IT guy, whenever we had a syntax error in our program, we used to look at what happened prior to that line where the error was showing. Same thing. If you're taking an action and you're not getting the results, look at the action you took. Maybe make some changes there. But what worked for me was, it was as if, I will give you an analogy, that I'm on Highway 401, my headlights are gone. There is no light, there is snow on the road, I cannot see the lane divider, there's no traffic, and I'm kind of really wanted to get off 401, but I couldn't, because I couldn't see where to go. And you may be feeling that way. And then, something what will happen is, if you plug in, if you come into the meetings, if you listen to what your executive directors are teaching you, you will find a big truck is going to come by, which will have big blaring tail lights. Just put your car behind it. And that's what happened to me. While I was struggling, while I was doubting myself, a truck called Michael Santonato came. I heard that he was in qualification being an executive director, but his license was being processed. And that is all what the trick was that worked for me. It was that light, that in my mind, I was struggling that how I'm going to go from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 to step 4. It was looking a huge thing for me. But as soon as I heard that his license is still being processed and he is in qualification, I said, oh, so it's possible. It is possible that I can do that too. I can meet someone tomorrow who will have the number of advisors and who will have the volume, and I can do it in my mind. It was far-fetched, but I thought it was possible.
Wow.
So, plug in. I say this, that any dead fish can swim downstream, right? So you may be feeling that you are like that. I felt that I was a dead fish, but I plugged in and I plugged in. And fear was the motivation that I said that I cannot fail. If not this, then what? It has to be this. So get sold down on this one. And if you have a little bit of doubt, talk to your executive director. They will guide you, right? Just like how Neela guided me.
That's right.
I mean, and I don't mind saying that in front of the camera, that she heard a lot of crap from me. I almost yelled at her, but she kept on saying, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And one day I said, what's wrong with me? She believes in me, right? And I believed in her accomplishment, so maybe I should listen to her. And that's what changed. You see, sometimes you have to shut down the inner voice that is telling you can't do this. Don't listen to it. Dominate that voice. Listen to your executive director. And that's what happened.
It's amazing. Rakesh, absolute pleasure to have you in our business, in our company, and it's been great chatting with you today. And I hope that some people watching got something out of this video, because you are a true man of character and integrity, and it's an absolute honor to work with you. Thanks, Rakesh.
Thank you.
Hey, if you like this video or any of the other videos that I have on my channel, stay tuned. We have so many more coming, but I want to make sure that you're in the know, that you know when they're coming. So please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and make sure you hit the notification bell.